Hello, this is Dr. Elena Estanol with Luminescent Life and Intuitive Business Mastery. So by now, you hopefully have watched and incorporated many of the strategies that you received through the 7-day class or challenge, however it is that you ended up doing it. And if you haven't, I will strongly encourage you to go back and to take the opportunity to watch those videos, or if not, to just upgrade to pay for them. It's only $27 because they are jam-packed with really practical applications of how you can begin to improve your focus and your productivity so that you can be more well balanced, better integrated, and start having better results in your business and in your life. Now, one of the biggest problems that I see with people as I teach some of these strategies a lot more in depth, obviously, is that because of our world, we are constantly bombarded with like a zillion things happening all at once. And so what happens is that our attention starts getting diverted, and we start with the best intentions. And in fact, probably New Year's resolutions are the best examples of this, where we have like the best intentions and the best goals and resolutions, but really how many times do those intentions actually come true? And the reality of it is that the only way that we have to truly create change in our lives is, well, actually, there are two ways, and I will share how to do that, okay? The first way is to become truly, truly intentional and then create the habits and the routines. I think that was step 6 that I mentioned, so it would be the 6th video, so that you can truly start integrating it into your life so it becomes a part of your everyday life and a part of your experience. And the reality of it is that we are going to be able to see results very quickly, but those results can only skyrocket when we are consistent in our application. And I would say that consistency is one of the things that, as human beings today, we struggle with the most. And I'll tell you why. The reason for that is that our world's evolving really, really quickly. So everything is happening really fast. We have things and apps and email, and we have these incredible little computers that we carry around that can do so much more than like these massive big computers that I had when I was growing up. And the reality of it is that because of that, we are constantly being bombarded by all of this information. The second problem is that we have been taught to believe that knowledge is power, and that the more we know, the better off we'll be. And so we become these like hoarders of information. Anybody out there an information hoarder? Okay, I'm gonna confess, I am. And that's kind of part of how we've been raised, right? We think knowledge is power, then I need to know more. I need to know more. Now, you've heard me say a lot that information without application becomes clutter. And over time, I've realized that knowing more isn't really helping me, isn't really helping you. It's really what we are able to integrate. It's really what we're able to apply and put into practice into our everyday lives that becomes power, not the pure knowledge. And the problem is that our brains are a little bit like our computers. So you might know that if you have a computer with low or a short RAM memory, that whenever you start trying to run too many programs or perhaps have too many applications open in the desktop, that all of a sudden your computer is going to crash and shut down, right? And that is exactly what's happening to our brains. And so when you worry and when you start recognizing that you are not actually as productive or that you're not able to stay focused and achieve the results that you want, it's because we have spent all this time upgrading our phones, upgrading our computers, our cars, our washing machines, but we have not actually been willing or know how or attempted to upgrade our brains. And what's happening is that our brains we are sort of trying to run these fancy new programs in a really outdated computer, in a computer that has a really low RAM memory and is not able to translate all of the speed at which all of these new programs are needing to run. And so therefore, we end up feeling overwhelmed, confused, we shut down, and we think, well, I'm going to do this tomorrow, right? We procrastinate, and then tomorrow never really comes, right? And then all of a sudden, we start beating ourselves up because we are not seeing the results that we want to see. And we might say, well, like, I've tried time and time again, but I can't really make this happen. I can't make this. And the reality of it is that it does take a massive amount of effort, coordination, and diligence to be able to incorporate many of the strategies that I have taught you into an actionable, daily routine that you can actually do every single day. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's totally doable. And I hope that I have given you some ideas of how you can do that. But I am also giving you an explanation of why it seems to be so hard, because your brain actually hasn't been upgraded. And what do I mean by that? Well, our brains are, like I said, like little computers, and and they operate by creating these neural networks that then store the information, right? So the neural networks create, let's just say, little filing cabinets of information that allow us to take in information and know where to store it. So when I say apples, oranges, bananas, you know immediately as you're listening that all of those things are going to go into the fruit the file cabinet. But if I said orange, apples, bananas, potatoes, broccoli, all of a sudden you'd be like, okay, well, now I need to split off this because part of that goes into the fruit bin, the other part goes into the vegetable bin. And then if I said pens and paper clips, all of a sudden now you're creating a different bin. Is this making sense? So in some ways, the way that we are able to truly process information is by expanding the capacity of neural networks in our brain. And this is by extending our working memory capacity is what we call. We didn't think that this could be expanded, which is part of the reason you probably have never heard of it. But the reality is that new research has indicated that we actually have the potential to upgrade and expand our brain through a process called neuroplasticity, which means that we can create bigger neural networks. We can expand our capacity to hold information, to process information quicker, and to be able to do so visually, auditorily, and through letter, number sequences, and also shapes. So now you might think, well, how does this actually work? Well, our brain is actually a lot like a muscle. So this is the reason why meditation works, right? Because while you might have felt some type of relief by meditating for a little bit, you're not actually going to get the full benefits of meditation until you have actually meditated for, many hours over the course of months and perhaps years. And so what happens is that as human beings, we become disenchanted from practicing something that is not giving us an immediate result. We are a society that are so immediate result based that if we can't see an immediate result, we don't tend to continue it. Luckily, there's enough research now that we know without a shadow of a doubt that meditation is one of the best things that we can do for our lives, for our brains, for our central nervous systems, for our immune systems. And so we now have a lot more people that are committed to practicing meditation. And the reality of it is that when we have 100 things pulling and vying for our attention, a lot of times we make some sacrifices. So I started, as a peak performance psychologist, I know that our brain works like a muscle, and that all we need to do is create consistent practice. And I also know that most of us are not going to be able to do that consistent practice unless there is some type of structure to that practice. And so while I was trying to rack my brain as to how to create these practices and how to structure them for people to be able to do them in a consistent basis, I also began researching every single thing that I could about brain training. And don't get me wrong, there are tons and tons of programs that claim to do brain training out there. And the reality of it is that most of them are a little hokey. What I mean by that is that most of them have been created and developed by app developers or marketers who knew nothing about how the brain works, and then have tried to get other experts to try to validate and vindicate whatever app or little game that they have created. And that just didn't cut it for me. You know, I feel really, really strongly that if there's something that I want to share and I want to bring to my clients, it's something that I would be really excited to do myself. And I am not about to do like second class stuff. Right? Like I want to do stuff that works. And if I'm going to invest my money and my time on something, I want to be something that is going to be robustly developed, that has a lot of research behind it, and that I know that it has a really clear protocol that works. And so I researched a ton of systems until I finally found one that was developed by a neuroscientist, has been tested by neuroscientists and psychologists, both within the company and independently, and has a very specific protocol and has been run through so many different tests and thousands of people. And so I am so excited to have access to this incredible program. And what I have done is a computer-based training program that basically it's going to provide the very in-depth and focused training for you. It's really fun because it takes advantage of the current technology. It feels a little bit like a video game, except that as opposed to video games that you can beat, this program adjusts to your capacity. So as you are expanding your brain capacity and your neural networks are beginning to start reconnecting and expanding, your capacity increases and then the challenge increases. So you are constantly being trained at your capacity, which is something that is hardly ever seen. And so what it is a 6-week training program where you train for about an hour to an hour and a half, 4 days a week. And you do it super intensely for 6 weeks. And I love it because it is a very specific protocol, but it's also super convenient because you can do it from the comfort of your own home. And then you get to have access to your training protocol, but also to your training statistics so that you can see and you can get feedback, real-time feedback. It's fantastic to see that when you all of a sudden lose focus and you get distracted, you make mistakes, right? So for all of us that claim to be able to do multitask and do all these things all at once, you will start realizing that it's not true. That really the capacity for our brain to focus on is only on one thing. And so when we're multitasking, we're not actually doing many things at once. We're actually switching from one thing to the next. And in that switch, we are missing a lot. And, you know, it's important, because it's one of the most important and fundamental pieces of us being able to elevate our game to the next level. It's one of the fundamental pieces to be able to achieve that state of blissful flow. When people ask me what's flow, I think that flow is that state of relaxed attention. And we can't really become amazing at anything that we do unless we learn how to focus and manage our brains and focus and tame our monkey minds. And so this is a fantastic program that's actually going to give you that edge. It's going to allow you to finally, once and for all, upgrade your mind and allow your brain to do what you want it to do rather than what it wants to do. And then I have combined this with the 17 years of schooling that I had, plus the 16 years of professional practice, and me working with thousands of people into creating then a very in-depth program where we go super in-depth to many of the strategies that I recommended. We have power practices, but also we go into a lot more depth about how you can start incorporating them, why they're important, and you can then start seeing, once you've expanded your capacity to be able to process information, then all of a sudden this is kind of like the software upgrade where you start learning all of the tools and techniques that are like super high level. They are the most state of the art. They're things that, not only things that I've taught to professional Olympic level athletes, but professional speakers, and also all incorporating all of the new neuroscience innovations. And so if you really are interested and committed to taking your game to that next level, if you're really truly dedicated to mastering your presence, to mastering your attention, your focus, your productivity, and you want to be able to start being able to get into flow a lot more easily, to I call it flow on demand, even though it's a little bit of an oxymoron because you cannot call flow on demand, but the more that you understand it, the more that you get into it, the easier it is to get to. And so this is laying the entire foundation, not just physiologically. So it's the highest state-of-the-art biohack that you can find out there. And we are limiting this program to 20 people currently because there is a lot of individualized attention. Every single part about the first piece of the program happens on a one-to-one evaluation because we need to make sure that you are going to be the right candidate for it. It is also the first 20 people that sign up are really literally going to get to have the advantage over everybody else because you will have upgraded your brain and all of a sudden you will be able to deal with things and process things and generate and create in a way that it's unheard of. And so those of you that know me that often ask me like, how is it that you can, get like 36 hours of productivity out of a 24-hour day and still get to sleep and play and do aerials and do all of the other crazy shit that you do? Well, this program is actually my secret. I have done this entire training program. I have taken the time, the effort, and been diligent at the training. And then I have consistently integrated every single one of the strategies that I'm going to be sharing with you into my life. So this is not going to be for anybody. Because this is something that it is so unique and it is so individualized, as opposed to many programs where, the coach or trainer, it's like, oh, this is a great thing, sign up, blah, 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 and the moment that they get they get your money, then you never hear from them, and you may complete or you may not complete, and they don't really give a shit. This won't work like that. We are a provider. We're able to bring this to you in collaboration with our Integrative Wellness Center, because this program is only available to licensed professionals. And so we have the benefit and the advantage of doing that. And as such, this program, we will need your commitment and your requirement, and we will require for you to make the commitment to actually finish the program. We will be going through the program with you step by step. We'll be holding your hand. We will be having coaching calls to troubleshoot, to coach you on how to create new strategies. And completion of the program is incredibly important, not just for you to be able to see your transformation, but also because we are evaluated as a practice on how our clients do in terms of completion. And so this is not going to be a thing that you sign up for and then, maybe you do, maybe you don't. This is something where we will commit to you and you will commit to us, in that you will do the training, we will hold your hand, and you will get to see this amazing results. Once you get through those, the first 6 weeks of truly stretching and upgrading your brain, then we'll begin the software installation, so to speak, where you start learning some of the tools and some of the strategies that you get to start incorporating into your life. And we will work with you so that you find the most ideal way to incorporate them into your life. So if this sounds like it's something interesting and is something for you, then what we are offering is that we are offering it at the lowest price that this will ever be offered. And partly because the second part of our training will be offered in a group setting. We know it works, but we will, but it's the first time that we're offering it as a group setting. And that's part of the reason why we are able to offer both of these programs at such a low price. The total value, you will be getting all kinds of other bonuses, meditations, recipes, tickets to my live event, and you can kind of look at all of that in the sales page. So the total value of the stuff that you will be receiving is about $10,000. And really, it's truly priceless if you think about what you're going to be doing. You're going to be upgrading your brain so that you can totally keep up with all of the changes that are happening in the world. And this is something that is a permanent upgrade. I think that is absolutely priceless. However, the price that we are setting up for is $24.97. And because this is not for everyone, what we're asking for right now is simply that you pay $397 as a deposit for your initial assessment, where we truly will get to see if you are a good candidate to go through the program with us. And if you are, then at that point, we will collect the rest of the payment, or we'll set up payment arrangements with you. So I hope that you start understanding and seeing the value of this incredible program. I'm super excited to be able to bring it to you and to offer it to you, because really the first people that take advantage of this will start to see a distinct advantage in how they're processing information, how they are dealing with all of the demands in their life, and seeing a huge increase in their focus and their productivity, their ability to be present, and therefore in their ability to increase their profits and have the results that they want to see. So I am just delighted to bring this to you, and I hope that I will get to welcome you into our Quantum Brain Reboot program, and I will see you on the other side. So go ahead and look for the schedule, or yes, I'm in, or schedule your assessment, or something like that button down below, and I cannot wait to get to know you, get to meet you, and evaluate if you are going to be a good candidate for this program, and get to see you totally skyrocket your results. Until then, defy the ordinary, become extraordinary. This is Dr. Elena Estanol with Luminescent Life and Intuitive Business Mastery.